Welcome to Slow and Steady, the podcast where you get to follow along as we try to figure out how to build and run a software as a service product. I'm Benedikt.
And I'm Brian. Each week, we'll give you an honest peek into our lives as we work on our products and keep the lights on with consulting. Today is September 4th, and I am feeling impatient.
This is episode number 7, and I'm feeling unfocused.
Oh, no. Two not great emotions. What's up? Why are you feeling unfocused?
I don't know, like last week, in our recording last week, in the end, you asked me, like, what are you up to this week? Like, what's your plan for the rest of the weekend?
Right.
I was like, I don't have a clue. And that stuck with me for the rest of the day. And I've been thinking about it. And I feel like I'm a bit in analysis paralysis, like just trying to figure out this in-app messaging stuff.
Okay.
And there's so many options there, and I don't know. Like, I mean, I have a rough idea about all the parts, but I feel like I still don't have the final answers. And yeah, I'm basically stuck analyzing and not making any progress.
Mm-hmm.
So on Thursday, like after we recorded the episode, I was like, okay, I have to do something about this. And I started breaking down the feature into smaller parts, just making notes of all the things that need to be built. And I was like, okay, I was able to figure out like one part that I could focus on and like one small part implement as a first step. And that was basically, I figured like when we do in-app messaging, we can also do like client-side tracking in a way, because it's all happening in the browser, so we have to identify users somehow. And when we do that, we can also support like sending over properties for those users, sending over events for those users, and stuff like that. So I figured, okay, implementing that tracking part is probably a good idea. And I had worked on this a couple of times already and had some thoughts and experiments. And after chatting with my friend Chris, I actually went ahead and implemented one way that I thought was the right way to do it, similar to how Intercom does it, very close to how our server-side API works. And I got it all working.
Okay.
But at the end of the day, I felt like, yeah, no, this isn't the right way to go.
Why not?
So what I implemented was basically sending the same request as the backend tracking does, with a payload and a user ID. And then basically, in addition to that, sending a signature that's based on a shared secret with the server, just to verify that it's actually this user and not someone trying to fake that request in the browser. And I got that working. It's okay. But then I realized that there's this thing, and this came up in the conversation with my friend Chris, that there is this thing called JSON Web Tokens, JWT.
Okay.
JWT.
Yep.
And they're basically exactly for this type of stuff, like passing user identity between services. And that conversation with him caused me to look into this again. And then I realized, okay, there's actually a way to support like multiple keys for signing those JWT tokens. And then suddenly it clicked, and it was like, okay, instead of like trying to roll my own signing solution, why don't I ask people to basically generate a token like this in their backend, expose that to the user interface? We are like embedding it in the HTML, or having a server response that basically delivers that to the client side, and then use that to authenticate the user and fetch in-app messages for them and stuff like that. So I basically spent a day of building a solution only to realize that it's the wrong one.
Well, okay. That's one way to look at it.
That's one way to look at it.
The other way to look at it is that you spent a day and now you know what what you're
Yeah,
going to do
yeah,
next.
yeah, exactly. I'm like, I don't think it's a lost. It was lost time or wasted time,
Yeah.
and I'm pretty happy about that realization because it makes the path forward a bit clearer, and I genuinely think it's the better solution.
Yeah.
Um,
How large of a task does it does it let me just ask where I'm going anyway. Can you imagine, okay, here's what the 1 week version of in-app messaging would look like. Here's what the 2 week version of it would look like, and here's the 1 month version. Do you have enough of a sense of what you're up against to be able to kind of shape those ideas?
I think so, yes. And with that realization last week, I feel like I can cut away like a huge bunch of stuff. Basically, all that. Yeah, we can also do like client side tracking in that process. And I was like, yeah, but with that other approach, I don't really need that stuff because like then I just have a user identity and that's good enough. And I don't even have to use the existing APIs for that stuff. I can just like build a new endpoint that's just for in-app messaging, and then maybe you can also send like events via that endpoint, but it would be a totally different thing from the and separate from the server-side tracking. And yeah, it suddenly made a lot more sense, and I think the solution will be much cleaner and more usable. But I, at that point, stopped working on it for the last couple of days,
Okay.
basically to let it sit for a while
Mm-hmm.
and think about it. But like the more I think about it, the more convinced I am that it's the right path forward. And then on Monday, at first I wanted to focus this week on basically giving this a try and implementing a first version of it. But then we had an internal discussion and some customer feedback, and now I'm building an entirely different feature this week.
Okay. What that's interesting. What feature is
So
that? How did that
we
come
had a
about?
new customer sign up or start their trial, and it's those are like they requested two features. Basically, the one is being able to upload images when they compose their messages.
Okay.
Because right now we allow them to add images into their emails, but you have to host them somewhere. And while it wasn't a
Okay.
problem until now, and it's not a super hard problem for that particular customer, but of course, I mean, it would be easier. You have the file on your disk. Why not just upload it into user list and then have it right in the email? That's the one feature they requested, and the other one that has been coming up a couple of times is being able to customize the styling of the emails. And while this will probably take a little bit more time, we figured that it's probably a good time to just implement that file upload and be done
Okay.
with it, more or less. So that's what I'm doing this week.
Okay.
And using the time away from in-app messages to
Okay.
process the learnings from last week.
Well, let me make so if I take a completely naive and annoying to the developer perspective here and say, well, can you just roll out tricks? Rails is the WYSIWYG that Basecamp built. Use tricks and active storage, and boom. I mean, there you go. Like, what's your response to that?
Doesn't work.
Okay, that's important. Why? What doesn't
So
work?
one of the things we decided was that we will store emails as Markdown. So we won't let you do anything in terms of styling for the email body that's not supported in Markdown.
Okay.
And like most of the editors out there use HTML as the source of truth.
Mm-hmm.
And our implementation, we're using, I think I mentioned it somewhere, we're using Prose Mirror, and we're using their Markdown backend or whatever to then store Markdown on the server and use that to render the emails.
Okay, but as the user, I'm not writing Markdown. I am just like making things like different header levels and bold, italic, but you are converting it to Markdown behind the scenes.
Yes, but you also have the ability to switch into Markdown mode and just like use plain Markdown and save it directly to the
Cool.
server.
Okay.
So that's one reason why tricks wouldn't work. And also, I think I mentioned it as well in a previous episode. It's an Ember application.
Okay.
Like the front end is an Ember and the back end is Rails. And it's API only. And I have a feeling that integrating tricks into that setup would be not
worth it.
Not easy.
Not worth it.
not straightforward.
Okay. Okay. All right. So you do your ability to implement images into the text editor is a little more complicated than just spinning something up.
Yeah, but I mean, it's not super complicated. Yeah. I think I can get it done until the end of the week. I basically have the file upload working. Mm-hmm. Jane is working on the user interface and the design for like the upload interface, and then we probably will have a way to pick one of your existing uploads and stuff like that. She's working on that as we speak.
Yeah. Okay.
So I could probably open up a screen and follow her in Figma trying to design it. And yeah, I'm confident that we'll be able to ship it by the end of the week, and it will be a nice thing to show some progress and hopefully make one or two customers happy.
What? Well, yeah, this is one of those difficult things where it feels like, shifting gears, like changing your mind. Like sometimes that's not a great idea,
Yeah.
But this, what was the conversation like? How did y'all come to the decision that no, I mean, come on, y'all, image uploading and inserting images and customizing the text a bit, like that's table stakes for a service that's sending emails, or no, we really need to deliver on this in-app messaging thing. What was the conversation like, and how did y'all decide to prioritize it the way that you have?
It was obvious that like in-app messages will take a while.
Okay.
And yeah. I mean, no surprise, they are already taking a while. I mean, I started the first prototypes a few months ago.
Yep.
But like, it felt right to basically ship a small thing in between. And especially as I had that learning last week, explicitly take a step back from it and do something else. And then I'll probably look back into it next week. And yeah, it just helps like letting it sit for a while. And so far I haven't found a downside of that new approach. So
well, no, it seems like you're getting the upsides of both in terms of relative cost of impact, that for sure how to deliver the file upload and custom formatting. Like that's not an unknown to you, right? Like, how you're gonna, so you deliver that while your subconscious continues to kind of bake the bigger unknown.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. What else? How else is your week gone?
So Monday was a bit of a tough one. I had one of my literally handful customers for Stage cancel. That was a bit of a bummer. And it was like out of nowhere. They're releasing a new album in a couple of weeks, and
Stage, the CMS for bands that we talked about.
The CMS, yes, week, the CMS we talked about. And I made some adjustments to the website, uploaded a new artwork, and I felt like, they just like continue using it. But like on Monday, I get this email basically telling me, we're moving to a different provider, and we'll let you know when you can just delete everything. And I feel like it didn't sound like they were upset with me for some reason, right? Just like moving on, but it was very much out of the blue. So that was a little bit of a downer.
That's
on Monday.
A bummer. Sorry, Benedikt.
That's how it is. I mean, in a way, it will happen eventually. It was, destined to happen eventually, because like I'm not putting that much effort into the product anymore. And eventually all of the customers I have will probably move on, and then I'll shut it down. So it's only fair, I guess.
So you're that's a bummer that happened. It sounds like you're not going to try to go out there and do a little bit of direct sales to replace that customer. No,
No,
just
that
letting it
doesn't make
happen.
any
Yeah,
sense.
right.
Yeah.
Right. Okay. Sorry, man.
Yeah, that's how it is. What was your week like? I have a feeling you have something to share,
Yeah.
at least from
Well,
what you're doing on Twitter recently.
yeah, I had an interesting week. Um, and so I had my first mastermind call Friday with my friends Richard and Travis, and that was it was really great. It was good. They're both into it. Conversation was good. The format that we decided on was we'll schedule it for 40 minutes. Although this first one ran long, everybody was okay with it running long. And we're setting a 6 week 6 week time period on this. We're going to do this, meet 6 times, and then we will sunset it. And anybody who wants out, just move on. No hard feelings. And if we want to spin up another 6 week cycle, then let's do that. And so, but ideally, set a 6 week goal, set something that you want to make some progress on, and like, what are you hoping to accomplish? It doesn't have to be, it can just be movement towards something, like towards a decision or towards some certainty, but have a 6 week goal, and we'll keep you accountable for that. And then also have some 1 week action items, which came out of this one specific call. And so the way we're doing it is, I think I mentioned this last week, is we'll open up the call with like, hey, does anybody have anything on fire? Okay, we'll go. We will give you, like, you've got the floor, and if it takes 40 minutes, fine. But if you have something on fire, then let's talk to you. Otherwise, we'll just go around the circle and kind of share some updates and that sort of thing. And you're not allowed to have something on fire 2 weeks in a row. You're not allowed to be. You're not allowed to take up all the time.
I still like that rule.
Yeah. Anyway, none of us had anything on fire. And so, but the thing that I talked about that I used my time for was on Wednesday. I had this a tweet that I wrote about loneliness and remote work. Just kind of blew up out of nowhere. And we will link to it in the show notes. But let's see, what did I say here? I said, for all the benefits of working remote, as the trend continues, I would put a giant ass bet on loneliness as the number one reason that talented employees quit and return to a co-located team. And got like 700 likes, 40 something retweets, 90,000 impressions or whatever, and like 80 comments.
Wow.
And so it definitely struck a nerve. Large number of people like, yes, totally struggle with this, Large number of people also, kind of, wait, what are you talking about? Who are these people? Don't they have family and friends? And which I was like, okay, that's validation of a different kind, that this is a problem. For so many people to be like, yes, I have this, and then like a gut reaction being like, who are these people? It's like, okay, there's something in my gut that just like suggests that that's an interesting other kind of validation. Anyway, so that's what I used my time talking with my friends Travis and Richard about. Was I shared last week on this podcast. I don't know what it is. I'm not sure that I have got founder product fit on Feature Audit. Like, truly, there's and it could be that I botched it along the way, and it has just grown a little bit stale for me, and the momentum is no longer there. Or it could be like, in my heart of hearts, I am much more interested in trying to find ways for people who work remote the way that I do, the way that you do. I'm much more interested in finding ways for people who do work remote that begin to feel isolated, both emotionally and intellectually, from peers, finding ways to keep them connected and to help them get the benefits of remote work that are obvious and well documented, while also not continuing to feel the downsides that are also becoming a little bit more common and obvious. So that's what I took my time with, chatting through with those guys. Is help me think through this and make this decision well. I feel like it even feels weird to say it. I'm like ready to say feature audit is done. Like I don't think that I'm going to. Yeah, I don't think that I'm going to be able to make real meaningful progress on that product. And
Mm-hmm.
I want to point my energy and focus towards this other problem that I feel personally, and that I know
Mm-hmm.
is going to continue to grow as remote work grows. The volume of people who are going to experience this is also going to grow. And so maybe I want to focus on that and see if there's something that can be done there.
Mm-hmm. That's interesting. And it came unexpected as well.
I mean, yes, it was unexpected. And here's a really great story about it too. I've like written this down. Like, don't forget this, Brian. The like 2 weeks ago, I interviewed Tyler Tringus of Earnest Capital for my other podcast, Bright and Early.
Mm-hmm.
And we were talking about, I was just asking him, like, what are the trends that you're seeing? And he said, he was like, remote tools for remote teams. There's just a lot. There's something there. Remote work is growing. I was like, yeah, totally, for sure. I'm a remote worker. What's the itch that I would want to have scratched? It's like, well, it's that sometimes I feel isolated. Like I don't have like a team that I'm like, hey, y'all, can you whiteboard this with me? And so on Monday of last week, I put on Twitter and LinkedIn both. Hey, if you're a manager of remote teams, I would love to talk to you. Reach out, or something like bland and lame like that. And it probably got like 7
Mm-hmm.
impressions. And then Tuesday, I'm just at the gym and pull out my phone, I'm just like spitballing. I'm like, yeah, I think that loneliness is, I put a giant ass bet on loneliness, continuing to grow. And poof. So
Yeah.
exact same intention, but, just stating a hardline opinion, it just like got so much more attention. Whatever.
Yeah.
Anyway, got the
Yeah.
outcome that I wanted. Or that I, did not plan for that at all. It's just like, this is a thought I have. But so what I've done, Benedikt, is I reached out to about 15 or 20 people who commented,
Mm-hmm.
or some of them I even said like, hey, wow, this is resonating with some folks. If you lead a team, DM me. I really want to talk to you and just understand the problem. So reached out to about 15, 20 people. I've got 4 calls scheduled so far, like managers from Full Stories, Zapier, Guru, like a couple other good ones. Had one call yesterday with a manager of a 5-person team of front end developers, and it's really good. So I'm trying to stay super focused on problem validation right now. Um,
Mm-hmm.
it is so hard to not start jumping to solution ideas in your head. Um,
Yeah.
you know, but that's that's okay. Yeah, that's a long rambling way, Benedikt, of saying I really think that I have to admit that feature audit is dead for me. Um and that I really want to focus on this problem that means more to me.
Uh-huh. So is it official? Like, is feature audit dead, or are you still hesitating?
Well, I'll at least put it this way. I mean, there's no need for me to delete the code base and not renew the domain. I mean, it can sit in the
Mm-hmm.
exact state that it is at. Um, and there is no reason to do anything because this I could completely invalidate this new idea that I'm like starting to work on. So there's no reason to change anything about it other than to say, I am mentally saying, I no longer will feel guilty from week to week by not working on feature audit. I want to be making progress towards talking to people who lead remote teams and are trying to address this problem of engagement, loneliness, and isolation for the remote team. That's my focus now.
Okay, makes
that
sense,
feels
yeah.
official. How's that?
Yeah, that sounds very official. And like, what happened to that other endeavor you started a couple of weeks ago with the products for your website and the productized services?
Yeah. And so where that stands is that I repositioned like 3 levels of offering on my site. I am not I'm not trying to create any assets or video or courses or whatever for the middle level. I basically am saying like the middle level of my product ladder is book a call. Like that kind of clicked. Like there was this feeling of, oh, I want a $49, a $4.95, and a $49.95 offering in the ladder. And where you had some really good pushback was on creating work at that middle layer. And so that's where it stands. I've got, but like sales on it. Like I'm not directing anything toward it. It has not generated anything new. And so, yeah, I just, that's a whole separate other thing. We can talk about it right now. I'll say I sold, to a prospect the top tier like package of customer insights. Let me run some interviews for you, deliver some insights off of that. I have an ongoing client that was just 100% like organic, 100% referral. That's just doing front end development and product development work for them. That's was not sold through the packages on the site. So that's where that stands practically. I would love to get your thoughts on this right now. Actually, I ended up talking to several people who also are in the similar boat as we are in terms of consulting, and just the idea of like that somebody is going to arrive at a site with these sorts of packages and click buy now is just like so low. Has that been your experience as well, or like what is a reasonable expectation and purpose of that sort of site? Like,
yeah. So first of all, congrats on shipping that stuff. I didn't realize you already, like, while you were talking, I was visiting your website and saw that you already have the packages up there.
Yeah,
that's great.
Yeah.
But I think we talked about this last week a little bit after recording. I don't think I have ever gotten a lead, like, or leads maybe, but like, I think I never got a consulting contract directly via my website. It was only ever in a supporting role when talking to people.
Yep.
So you could point them to something and they, I don't know, browse it. And I mean, I also have those packages on there, but I think I only ever sold like a couple of consulting calls directly via the website. But most of the time it's basically people find me through other means and then probably visit my website and get an idea about my offerings and my prices. The prices part is the interesting one because it basically already sets some some boundaries in terms of how much are they willing to pay, and then
they can do some
it's usually
self-qualification.
easier. Yeah, doing some
Yes.
self-verification, and then it's easier to get a decent rate, even if it's not the rate that's published on the website. It will still be better than starting with nothing, I
Right.
guess.
Right.
But yeah, I think I agree that it's super hard to have a consulting website and expect people to just show up there and then become
Yeah.
customers. I never had that happen for me.
Yeah. I guess that's the other, like, in terms of like what's going on in my story here. Is the feeling of okay, like maybe the strategy just needs to be direct sales. Like the website needs to have, like you say, it needs to play a very strong supporting role. Okay? Like lots of a bunch of articles demonstrating some authority, etc., blah blah blah. But in terms of finding leads and closing deals, like maybe I need to refocus on direct sales and outreach, as opposed to what I've been trying to do over the last like year or so, is increase the number of the amount of inbound traffic I get, and then getting that traffic into an email funnel that eventually converts into a sale. That's just like I just have not cracked that code yet, and and I'm not completely sold that it's because that's the code I'm supposed to crack. Like I may have all the content I currently need to have. I just need to go find the customers myself and spend that time like starting up conversations with them.
Yeah. I guess, I mean, in the end, it's probably possible. I mean, Brennan Dunn talks a lot about that stuff with positioning and getting him into the funnel. And
Yeah.
I guess it works for some people, but it never worked out for me.
Yeah.
And that might very well be because I didn't put enough effort in it.
Yeah, no, I'm with you on that. Like I've seen and I've heard the pitch and the promise, that there's a way to smooth out the lumpiness and like inbound leads, etc., etc. And I don't know, man. I'm either doing it. I'm willing to admit I'm either doing it wrong, or it may be a bit of an overpromise, and that when it really comes down to it, you know what, like put some good stuff up there, get some table stakes in place, and then do direct sales. That's how business works. So
yeah, might be true.
gosh, hey, if seriously, there are some smart people that are listening to this show, and if you've got thoughts on this, reach out.
Let us know.
Let us know. Let us know. All right, we should probably start to wrap up here, Benedikt. What can we get back real? So what are you hoping to work on this week? You want to get the image uploader and like custom formatting shipped?
Yeah, the custom formatting probably not. I think that's out of scope for now.
Okay.
But the image upload, definitely want to have this shipped by the next time we talk.
Cool.
And I'll definitely report back.
Okay. All right.
What about you?
I will. I hope to have at least 3 or 4 more conversations with people about the remote work doesn't have to be lonely idea, and maybe, I guess I can leave it there. Is there anything I talked about that I should be held? I should commit to. Feels like that.
I think that's a pretty good.
Yeah.
That's a pretty good commitment.
Okay.
Yeah.
Hey, so other thing is that Ben Orenstein is not pleased with your audio.
Yes, I noticed.
Do we need to commit to a microphone?
Yeah, maybe.
Is that an action item?
I wonder what's wrong with this microphone. Because like I've been doing a podcast previously and we did like 80 episodes.
Yeah.
And I think nobody ever complained. But maybe it's not a good microphone.
has the market moved upward in that time?
Maybe. I don't know. I mean, we're trying something today, basically changing the recording setup a little bit.
Yes.
Maybe that already helps.
Maybe that's it. Or at least helps, yeah.
So, Ben, if you're listening to this, let us know how we are progressing.
All right. Okay. Great chatting. Enjoyed it. Let's see. Listeners, show notes at slowandsteadypodcast.com. You can find us on Twitter at slowsteadypod. Is that right, Benedikt?
Yep.
Okay.
That's correct, yes.
Find us, let us know what you think, and we'll talk to you next week.